Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about retiring and then becoming an entrepreneur. Today, you'll be meeting Lynn Brinckmeyer, a woman in the middle entrepreneur whose second career in her 70s is all about helping women in mid-career create and sustain change to design lives they love. Welcome to the show, Lynn. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Suzy. I am honored to be included in these conversations.
Oh my gosh. And I love that you're a listener of the podcast. That makes me so excited too. I know we're going to have a great conversation about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also about what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and maybe a little challenging here and there for you in your life as well as being a business owner. So let's get started with how old you are, how long you've been an entrepreneur, and what it is you do in the world. Tell us about your journey. Take it away.
Well, I am 72, and I would say that I came to being an entrepreneur maybe in a non-traditional way. And I think my whole life has been pretty much non-traditional because I got married at 16 and had a baby girl, my beautiful daughter. And so I was married to my husband for 14 years. And because I got married so young and we also had a son, that I did not complete my degree to get into teaching because my desire was to be a music teacher. That's what I wanted to do more than anything else in the world. And so when my daughter entered second grade and my son entered kindergarten, that day I signed up for a 1-credit class in college because I'd lost my confidence. I didn't know if I was smart enough to pass a college class or not. And so I just took a 1-credit in library science. But of course, I ate it up. I loved it. I wanted to learn more and more and more and more. And so, it took me 7 years to get my bachelor's and be able to teach music. And that was exactly what I wanted to do. And then I went immediately into getting a master's. And so that led me into public school teaching for 5 years. And then I decided to go get my PhD. So because I had this desire, I knew I was helping the 20 or 30 or 40 kids sitting in my classroom. I wanted to help more kids. So I thought the way that I do that, I can train teachers. So that was what was really important for me, to be able to train teachers. And so I got my PhD that way. And I have truly loved every minute of my higher ed career. I mean, some people say that they hated their jobs, they wanted out. I loved my job. And I didn't plan on retiring when I did. I had the privilege of working at Idaho State University for 2 years, Eastern Washington University for 13, and then Texas State. I just finished my 18-year career there. And as an associate dean, also then the director of choral music education, loved teaching children's chorus and helping people learn how to be choir directors. So wonderful. And because of my mom's and my grandson's passing, a 4-month gap between the two of them, I went ahead and released my position because I wanted to move closer to my bonus dad and be able to be close to help him, because it was about an 7 to 8 hour drive from Texas State to get to the Midland area. If any of you are familiar, West Texas, there's a lot of driving around here because we're spread out. And that was actually, so I had decided to start an LMC. So that's in 2016. Because I've done side gigs of conducting and workshops all over the country. And I've done workshops in 49 states and 20 plus countries. And so that was my side gig. But during the pandemic, I knew I wasn't going to teach at Texas State the rest of my life. I realized that there was going to be a time. And I got certified because I was home at night, only teaching one night class. The rest of the time I was home. And so I got certified as absolutely, it's with Brave Thinking Institute. And I greatly appreciate that opportunity that opened up. And it really it helps my teaching as well. I was so excited about it. Well, about a year ago then, I moved over here to Lubbock, Texas, so that I could help my bonus dad. And there was a little bit of a side journey, I guess you would say, because I retired from Texas State on May 31st. And on June 9th, I was on a stage conducting a 3-day choral festival, having a blast, doing a beautiful job, stepped behind the podium to get on the podium to conduct, and the podium had been moved to the back of the stage, and so I ruptured my Achilles tendon and went to the hospital. And so, and then there's a reason I'm telling you all this. It's not a sob story, but I did get a cast on, and then I was able to go back, and I walked out on the stage that night on crutches, and it was crickets. The audience were just holding their breath and hoping that I didn't fall down. Nobody was clapping when I walked out. It was hilarious when it was over. But the ladies sang so beautifully, and we had a wonderful time. They got a standing ovation. They did such a beautiful job. But I didn't want them to see the last thing they knew of me was on the stretcher going out the door. And so that was a journey, moving over here just out of a scooter about a week before I moved here, and have been in a medical boot about 11 months. But now I'm walking. And my coaching progress and the ways of thinking, I'm actually dancing again. Physical therapists told me I would never dance again.
Wait a second. You're going very fast on this story. So 11 months of recovery?
Yes, that was, and so I'm still in recovery now. And so, I am still doing physical therapy. So, but after 11 months, I was able to learn to walk again. Took the boot off, and had surgery and all those kinds of fun things. And finally, my first step, I'm like, okay, body, let's go. All right, anytime. It was like I was a year old learning how to walk again. The good thing is,
that's a crazy story. I mean, I come from a band background. I've been on many stages, and first of all, to mess up when you're playing or singing is one thing, but to take a physical tumble, and you fell off the stage, right? Yeah. How many feet down was that?
Well, it was a platform stage. Some stages are as tall as me, so
right.
It wasn't like that. I would say it was probably 2.5 to 3 feet. And, I just stepped off of into thin air. And, thank God, truly, I mean, I could have broken bones. I mean, there've been so many things that it could have been so much worse. And so I'm grateful that, that's all it was. I mean, it was a journey. And because of my coaching program that I'm learning to teach during this time, and I am coaching when I started feeling well enough that I can actually sit up and not be on some kind of sedative, I learned so much. And that if I'm going to tell people in the coaching that to change your thoughts and everything, then I better be practicing what I preach. And so every little pity party I had, well, after 90 seconds, you know what? Things haven't changed. So I might as well start thinking about what I can do right instead of complaining about what's wrong. So I'm so grateful.
Wow. And I'm just shocked. Like, my jaw just dropped when you were telling that story. It's so scary, and it's so public, and it's just so startling right before a performance.
Yes.
All of that. And yeah, it was a lot. So look at you, resilient, accomplished, and you figured it out, you solved it, and you healed. Thank goodness. Wow. What a story.
Well, I appreciate you letting me share that a little bit. And so last fall I started coaching. And so I still haven't quite, I guess I would say January will be my official year as coaching because I just coached a couple of friends at the beginning just to go through the curriculum to make sure I wanted to make sure that I was settled into even knowing what a business is. And so now I'm still learning those things about getting a website up and being able to make sure that you market and all those kinds of fun things that go along with, because always before my LMC was just because of the gigs that I'd got invited to for conducting and workshops like this. And now I'm putting myself out there. How can I help you? And so that is, it's a different journey than I before. And I'm learning so much.
So there's two big aspects to your entrepreneurial nature. Yeah. So you have your music gig with the conducting and everything all over the place. And now you've got the coaching as well.
Absolutely. And, sometimes they cross.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I will say that most of my clients starting out were past students or they were colleagues. And then it's evolved now more into more professionals. I've certainly have worked with some men, but the majority of the clients that I work with tend to be women who've taught maybe 10, 15 years, or they've been in the professional world about that time and is starting to look at, do I do this? Do I want administration and whatever business they happen to be in, those kinds of things. And so that having me, I had the privilege of being elected to be the national president for MENC at that time. It's now the National Association for Music Education. That's the new title. And it's the largest music education organization in the United States. And I was the president for that. So I was on that board for 6 years. And I had the privilege of helping to run a nonprofit with, about an $8 million budget at that time. So I certainly have done things behind the scenes. It's different though when it's your money. And it's your money coming in or coming out, depending on what's going on, and listening to these kinds of things. Oh, I could do that. Or, is that going to serve my audience? Is that going to serve me and my mission? So these are all parts of the journey that I navigate, and I'm loving it. And it's stretching me. It's awesome.
Yeah, it does stretch you. Like we think originally, at least I did, and I've heard this from other people. You can tell me if this was your experience. We think the biggest challenge is learning how to become an amazing coach. It turns out that learning how to run an online business is
the coaching is the fun part. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's we're so passionate about that. People who are attracted to coaching are helpers, and they love lifting people up and just helping in that way. And the business part, it's like sometimes it reminds me of bookkeeping. There's some parts of the business I love, and there's some parts I don't love, and there's nothing I love about bookkeeping, but it's such a core part of the business.
Yeah,
I always look at accountants.
Embrace those spreadsheets. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. I've even asked my bookkeeper, I'm like, so tell me, this is something you like, right? She goes, oh, I love it. It's like a puzzle. I'm like, wow.
Good for her.
So funny. Okay. So being a woman in midlife, and we had a little conversation before we started that you mentioned that you're not in midlife in your early 70s. And I said, I think you are, because I look at it
better than mine.
I look at it as age and stage. So the classic midlife kind of definition is 40 to 60. It's not firm, but that is commonly what's talked about. But I think about it as more than that, because you're not doing anything that would be in the next phase. When you're more senior, more, I think in maybe some people call it elderly. That's not where you're at all. And some people hit midlife before 40 because maybe they've had a demanding job that started early and they'd already been working for 20 years or something like that. So I think it's, to me, you're totally midlife. You moved from a working gal in academia to being an entrepreneur in an online space. And turning your passion for music is also entrepreneurial. You get the gigs, you show up for the gigs. It's like contract work, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
That's entrepreneurial.
Just had one on Saturday. Absolutely. So
it's so fun, but you can create whatever it is you want, which is so amazing. So how do you see that being an older woman, older and wiser, of course, affects being an entrepreneur? And vice versa? What do you see?
I think that in many ways, it's really a blessing, because I wouldn't want to go back to the person I was at 40 because of the knowledge base that I have and the experiences I've had. And I think I know I'm a better human because I know that's something I'm working on every day, and then learning from the clients. So I think that serves me well, and understanding that sometimes, as you mentioned, you and I were talking about resilience. Absolutely. Some things take rigor. They take resilience, and being patient, knowing that it's almost like, I don't know if you've probably heard that story about bamboo, that when you bamboo gets started, the roots are rising, they're going crazy, but you're not seeing anything but something about an inch above the soil. And then all of a sudden, after 4 or 5 years, the bamboo just takes off. And that's the way I see myself right now, as I'm building that root system, so that the bamboo will be shooting up. And so knowing and having the patience for that, I think, is a good thing. Maybe one of the challenges, I do have not many, but a few friends that are sort of like, so when are you going to stop? When are you going to slow down? And that I just want to go, what? Never. I don't want to. I'm loving what I'm doing, and I have energy. So I think sometimes if people see the number, there's assumptions. Oh, she's 72. So, but then you take a look at our national leadership. There are seasoned members in all different kinds of leadership in different parts of the States. And so I think that the wisdom that I know I have, just because of a life experience, has a lot to offer the women that are in the 50s. Because when I was in my 50s, that's when I was doing that national leadership with that and I learned so much. And I also thought about, do I want to stay in this type of a life, or do I want education? And I was a department chair for a while at Eastern Washington, and decided I love helping people, but I missed the students. I wanted to be making music with students. And so that was something for me. something else I was going to tell you too. There's an assumption that our bodies are not working as well by the time they get to my, and I actually, obviously there was a challenge physically that happened in the last year and a half.
Well, that was a big one.
That was coming through that. Overall, though, I mean, right the day before that I started this healing journey, I mean, I was walking 3-4 miles a day, absolutely, because I felt different if I didn't get that much. And so I'm building that back. I'm up to 2 miles now, those kinds of things. And that is almost like a meditative too. That's when I'm thinking affirmations, and I'm thinking about how I help this person or how I grow. So that, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question directly, but that the challenges are assumptions that I should be this type of person, that I don't fit in that mold is sort of kind of what I hear more than anything else. Oh, you're still doing that. And
yeah. Yeah. The way I've heard a few people describe it is that I'm gearing up and my friends and family are gearing down.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
Right. And there's a disconnect. And I experienced that too in the last couple of years. So I'm 61 right now at the time of this recording. And I have seen so many of my friends post their retirement on Facebook. So these are friends that I am, active with regularly and people I haven't seen in a while. But there are certain professions that people tend to retire a little earlier. And so all that's happening. But it's fascinating to me that the ones that I followed up with are working again now that they've retired, but in a different capacity, something that has more meaning. Somebody is working with a choir, actually, as you mentioned it, a retired teacher. And, it's just retirement looks so different today than it did when we were growing up and thinking about our parents and grandparents. It really looks different. And there are so many ways to enjoy your life in retirement. The classic definition of retirement has to do with regular income. And then in retirement, you have so many options. You can still earn income, but there's so many ways to earn income. But I think what happens when people are looking at people like you who have officially retired is that they're thinking probably a little bit about themselves. Like, why is Lynn so happy? What's going on with Lynn over there? She looks very fulfilled, aside from that little fall off the stage.
Well, that's way behind me. Yeah. So, you were talking about that when I was thinking about what you were saying. Yeah, it's more now multiple streams of in that are coming in from the different things, and the mentorship is so important. I've learned from my mentors, and they said if I can shorten your learning curve, especially even in the coaching program. I'm learning from coaches who did it and it took them a long time. And now I'm speeding up my process of learning through their guidance. And I'm hoping I can do that for either people that want to be in education and go through that education, absolutely, or music students, or someone else that wants to get into the entrepreneurial field. I mean, I know more than I did a year ago. I know more than I did 6 years ago or so when I started, or 8 years ago when I started my LLC. So I have things I'd love to share if I could shorten anyone else's learning curve.
Yeah. And I have read there's some research about the importance of mentorship with older people. It's so fulfilling to give back. It's so fulfilling. And people our age are looking for meaning. So it's a really, really good fit. Early in my coaching career, I did a series, a little 4-session, 5-episode, not session, episode, 5-episode series on the Women in the Middle podcast, the other podcast about mentorship. And I had the opportunity to interview 4 of my mentors. And then I interviewed one person for whom I was their mentor. And it was so delightful to be able to give feedback to these women who have made such a big impact in this phase of my career, and also to ask them about their mentors. And it was just, I feel like that has been one of the biggest perks of having your own business is you can really be delighted on a regular basis because you're creating a business that delights you.
Absolutely. It's something that when you said that about our own business, one of the things that I love is my calendar may be really full, but that's because I made it that. And it's my choice to put the things on the calendar that I am obligating myself to do. And I don't have to if I need, as I said, over here to help my bonus dad. And I have gone over there usually about twice a week, unless I happen to be traveling. I'm so grateful for that because I have that freedom and I can put my coaching clients all on different days and things like that. And I have that freedom now where as much as I loved my Texas State job, there were gigs, if you wanted to call them, never turned down an all-state, but there were honor parties and things like that that I would have to say, I'm sorry that I've been away from my students too much, because I love my students and my obligation and to be there for them. And one other thing popped in my mind when you talked about the challenges of I'd say the biggest thing for me, just myself, is to embrace and love myself when I record a video and see myself on Zoom. It's like, okay, love who you are. This, and instead of hoping and wishing that I looked 20 years ago, those things are going to happen. So that's one of the little I'll just take a deep breath and be happy with who you have. I'm happy I've got this body. So,
well, you know what? It's interesting about that. Visibility is a thing for many people, definitely for people our age. And Zoom is an interesting thing because I don't know about you, but I haven't looked at myself this much ever. Because when you're on Zoom, you're looking at yourself. It's not just that you're being critical of a jowl or a wrinkle or whatever, but you're also just looking at yourself so much. And I remember at the beginning of COVID, everybody was talking about hand washing protocol and the importance of not touching your face. And Zoom really helps you figure out how often you're touching your face. So I remember that. Yeah, it's just touching and brushing and poking the glass. I'm just popping these reading glasses keep falling down my nose. I'm constantly touching them. So it's all of that, but putting yourself out there in a different way, getting clients versus just having students delivered to you, signing up for classes. It's very different energy required.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I've learned to think about is if there was one client that would have absolutely flourished by working with me because I happen to speak a language that they resonated with, and I didn't put myself out there and make myself available, then I have done a disservice. And the reason I wanted to get into coaching is so that I could help people. And, it's almost like, oh, just get over yourself, Lynn, keep going, So.
Well, that's exactly it. And the way I think about that is because sometimes it's quite hard, but it's like somebody out there is waiting for me to get over my stuff, to connect with them. Because when you really start connecting with people in this business, it's a miracle that people are finding each other, like that's why I asked you in our little pre-interview, well, how did you find me? Because the online universe, was it a referral? Was it something you read and then clicked on it? Were you just Google searching something that you were interested in? And then what made you click on my podcast? Or how did we find each other in this huge universe? I think it's fascinating how that works.
Yeah, there's certainly many, when you Google, many things can come out. Absolutely. And I did listen to several podcasts, but there was something about it. As soon as I heard your voice, all right. I felt like I was sitting across the kitchen table talking to you instead of being talked at. And so that really invited me in to, I want to check this out a little. So.
Oh, thank you. That's great feedback. Well, certainly that's what it feels like here. Although, I'm basically just talking to myself. I know I'm not talking to you, but at the time of the recording, sometimes I wonder what my dog thinks because I have a bird and a dog that are in earshot. And the bird usually gets very animated when I'm talking because it sounds like a lot of fun. It's like, who's mommy talking to?
I love that.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny what's going on in home businesses. Okay, so as I mentioned, and as you know, we're interested here in this podcast is this intersection of being your age, running a business, and being challenged by some of these classic issues. And so what would you say helps or hinders your ability to cope the most? So when some of this stuff comes up, what is helping you cope the most or getting in your way?
I will say first that the most monumental challenge that I'm facing right now is the putting everything on hold to go help. And by my choice, I'm happy to do that. My bonus dad and that caregiver. I know I'm grateful. My mom passed at almost 88. Not everybody gets to have their mom that long. I did. I'm so grateful when she was my best friend. And I'm so grateful for that. Some people I know, my students are doing caregiving things for their parents. And so, but it is something that has been a challenge for me. The thing that has been the most beneficial is listening to my thoughts, noticing my thoughts. And then if I notice a pattern of thoughts that are constrictive, how do I flip that script and turn that into something that is positive? Whether it, I don't want to be, to be accused of being Mary Poppins all the time, but also there's good in this. and I'm learning and all the things. And I'll just give you a quick story. I was in Austria earlier this summer, took a delegation of music educators there, and my bonus dad had a heart attack. And so here I am in this beautiful country I've wanted to go through my whole life because of all the amazing music that's there, Mozart and Beethoven, et cetera. I mean, you can just name all these composers and all the history there. And I've got part of me thinking I need to just get on a plane and go home. And I'm the delegation leader, and that, so just finding a way in my, of course, I mean, I rely on faith, but also just reminding myself to think about what do you want? The more you think about negative things and put that energy out there, my perspective is that isn't helping any. I know all words have vibration. And so I'm going to put the words out there that I want and love and pray, and certainly call him as many times possible. And he's fine. He's back home out of the hospital now. And it all turned out, and I was able to go through all of that delegation. But, I would say for about an hour or so, I wasn't doing a very good job of being Mary Poppins. I was definitely had some negative thoughts going on in my head. And then I take a deep breath and be the best human you can, because me being frantic isn't going to help him at all, or any of the people that I was with. How can I generate calm and open up possibilities rather than making everything more negative? So that noticing what I'm noticing, probably my biggest.
Yeah, mindfulness for the win. Mindfulness for the win, man. So good. So how can people best get in touch with you?
Well, right now, it's the best way to get in touch with me probably is going on Facebook and just my name and send me a private message. And then of course, it's my name, Lynn Brinckmeyer at gmail.com. My website is completed. It's not launched yet, so I don't want to send anybody off to a website that they're not going to get on, but it's right around the corner. But if they reach out to me on Facebook, then I can send them a link to the website.
Well, this episode it doesn't come out right away, so it's probably fine for you to say the website address.
It's Brinckmeyer Enterprises.
Oh, BrinckmeyerEnterprises.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there's a lag. There's a lag with the podcast, so it's usually okay.
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, it'd be nice if I could just crank things out in real time, but it's not possible. Okay, Lynn, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your personal story. You were so authentic and so real, and I just really appreciate what you're able to do and the way you're thinking about what's possible for yourself. It's very, very exciting. I love what you're doing. I love that you have music as a central part of what you're doing in retirement as well. So good. So amazing. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Again, I'm so honored, and I learn from you every week when I listen to the podcast as well. Thank you for your guidance.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. All right. That's all for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late for you to put yourself on your agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with this show, I'd love to invite you to a happiness breakthrough coaching session. It's my laser-focused coaching call that will help you get clear about what's getting in your way as a woman in the middle entrepreneur and confident about your next steps to more happiness in your next chapter. Head over to www.nextchapterbreakthrough.com. Talk to you soon.